Hello, how are you? My name is Roland from PMI JCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset manager perspective. So today what we're going to be talking about is selling your property. So if you're thinking about selling your property, we want to give you three tips so that your property can be sold at the best price and you are getting the best return on your investment. The reality is sometimes the best way to improve your rental property portfolio is to realign your investment strategy altogether. And in multiple different cases or occasions, sometimes pruning and cutting ties with a particular property can help you scale and grow in other areas. So what we want to do today is talk about these three different tips or pointers, things you should look at before you sell your property. So like I said, you'll get the best on your investment. And so the first thing you should definitely do is plan for the capital gains tax, right? Capital gains tax can be anywhere from 10% to 37% of your proceeds. Of course, if you live in a home as your primary residence, you can avoid that for initially anyway up to a cap. But after that, you get charged. And if it's a rental property or an investment property, you're going to get charged a capital gains tax. One way you avoid that is by doing a 1031 exchange, the like kind exchange, taking the proceeds from one investment property and within a certain time frame, investing it into another investment property. Another way you can not avoid, but yeah, avoid is a good way to put it. Another way you can avoid capital gains tax is if you move back into the property first, make that property your personal residence, and then at that point where it becomes your personal residence, then you're no longer subject to it being an investment, and you have a certain limit before you start getting charged capital gains tax. So in terms of making sure that when you're selling your property that you get the most out of it. Plan for capital gains tax. Tax planning in your portfolio is very important. I keep telling people all the time, you think that your biggest liability is your mortgage, but the reality, your biggest liability is your taxes. So do your tax planning in advance, particularly when you're about to sell a property. Protect yourself from capital gains taxes. That's going to help your bottom line in the future. Then you want to communicate with your tenants. If you have tenants in your property, you want to make sure you inform them of your goals. A lot of times, if you have plans to sell your property at some point in the future, you may put in your lease agreement that fact. And so it's a due on sale clause. And so the tenants know that when you're about to sell a property, you're going to give them a 30-day notice and they must move. Right? But the more you communicate with the tenants, the better it's going to be. You're going to be able to show your property. You're going to be able to do certain things that if you don't communicate with them, it's going to be harder to do. I have an owner that I'm working with right now, and they decided that they want to sell their property, and they want to do a open house, and the tenant can't afford or is not able to leave the property for 4 or 5 hours at a time when that open house occurs. Now, the tenant is not stopping them from showing the property. They just prefer the tenant to not be in the property when they're showing it. And, you're going to have to do some negotiating there, right? If the tenant can't leave the property, then you're going to have to show the property with the tenants in there. There have been plenty of times where I've shown properties with properties for sale, or I've toured properties for sale with the tenants being in there. So that shouldn't be a big deal. But they want to have the best show and they want to get the most out of it. And the reality is, they're kind of stuck where they are. If the tenant's not able to leave, but the tenant is giving them access to the property, you can't force them to leave for 4 hours so that you can show the property. Okay. Next, you have investment necessary for repairs, right? So you want to make sure that whenever you are about to sell a property, the property is in the best condition possible. If it's a house that you live in, you don't want to do much work to it before you sell it. That's okay. Well, that's not okay. Let me be honest. If you want to sell a property at the best price, you want to make sure that it's in best condition, whether it's an investment property or it's a property you live in. Because what's going to happen is people are going to give you offers below what you're asking for. So regardless of whether you're selling your property as a single family, as a resident who's living in an own occupied home or an investment property, take the time to get your property ready and pay for those repairs. It's going to help you get the best return on investment down the line. If selling your rental property makes sense right now, consider these three things first. And remember, if you don't have to tackle this alone and or your portfolio alone, contact us at PMI JCM Realty Group for the best insights for investments from an asset management perspective. At PMI JCM Realty Group, we're looking to share the latest information in the rental property investment industry. And so what we've done is we've created a webinar on how to streamline your portfolio for maximum growth, which is going to help you not only with this topic, but it's going to show you how to guarantee your rent even if the tenant doesn't pay, and how to go get a tenant out of your property without having to go through an eviction. And don't forget, we have a Facebook group that's available to you. So in that group, we have investors and other rental property owners that can help answer your questions that you have. And of course, you can put a meeting on my calendar if you need, advice specific to your property. I can be reached at rcharles@pmijcmrealty.com. You can also contact me at 813-333-9617. And as always, you can go to my website at pmijcmrealty.com. Thank you.